I'm Morgan Taylor, 35, a single mom of 2 adorable little kids, and a financial advisor living in Bellevue just outside Seattle. For years I've juggled raising my kids with building my career, even helping my parents, Robert and Eleanor Taylor, cover most of their mortgage after Dad retired early. Last month, my children and I flew to Santa Barbara for my parents' 25-year wedding anniversary. Arriving with carefully chosen gifts and genuine smiles, I never imagined my own family would greet us like complete strangers. The celebration took place in an elegant banquet hall at a luxury hotel. Everyone exchanged warm hellos, but when Ava and Mason and I were shown to our table, I caught my parents' surprised, uneasy glances. My sister, Brooke Taylor, married to Dr. Jason Miller, played hostess flawlessly. Her 2 well-behaved children and polished presence drew the room's attention, while I felt like an afterthought. I kept my composure, chatting politely with other guests, but inside I was reeling. I thought of the countless sleepless nights paying for my own college by degrees of sacrifice, of turning down career opportunities to nurse sick children, and of gently reminding my parents that I, too, needed their affection. Clearly, I had given the most, yet I was the easiest to overlook. During a lull in conversation, I overheard Brooke whispering to her husband about how we just didn't fit this event and saw my father plaster a stiff smile on his face. My heart broke, but I refused to stay silent. Raising my glass, I said evenly, "If this family doesn't consider me a true member, I'll be leaving right now." I didn't wait for their reaction. I walked out, leaving behind stunned gasps and whispered speculations. 3 days later, we'd settled into a suite overlooking the Santa Barbara Pier and the Pacific. Ava and Mason ran free on the green lawn just outside our balcony, while I found camaraderie among other single moms in town, realizing at last that I wasn't alone. That's when my phone rang. It was my mother. "Morgan," she said, voice trembling. "We're sorry for making you and the kids feel unwelcome." I heard Dad's quiet concern in the background. In that moment, I understood. Sometimes you have to step away before they come looking for you. Back in Santa Barbara, I proposed a new format for family gatherings. Each household would have its own space, but we'd share activities like hiking the pier and hosting a lakeside barbecue. I made it clear that from now on I would not accept second-class status just because I didn't have a partner at my side. My parents nodded, and even Brooke apologized with genuine warmth for the first time. Hand in hand with my children, I left the party feeling proud and at peace. I realized that self-respect is the only solid foundation for any relationship, and sometimes stepping away opens the door to true understanding, respect, and love. That night, after Ava and Mason were asleep, I dove back into work, vlogging extra hours and pursuing advanced certification in wealth management. By 35, I had earned a sterling reputation among affluent clients. It was ironic. I was helping others secure their futures while my own remained precarious. That same year, my father, Robert Taylor, took early retirement at age 62 due to back problems. His employer in Portland offered a generous package, but the truth was that years of helping my sister Natalie Carter and her husband Ethan Carter with down payments and private preschool costs had nearly drained my parents' savings. Days after Dad announced his retirement, Mom, Susan Carter, called me into her study. She handed me a bank notice. They were 3 months behind on their mortgage. Without hesitation, I offered to take over the monthly payment of $2,500, even though it meant delaying my dream of buying our first home. They accepted my offer with a mix of gratitude and awkwardness. Dad promised it was temporary, but 5 years later, it had become the new normal. I absorbed every remark and comparison without complaint, viewing it as payback for raising me. What stung was the silence. They never once thanked me, yet always praised Natalie and Ethan's perfect life. For 3 years, I wired those payments, and each month I felt more invisible, until the elegant invitation from the Hollywood Proper Hotel for my parents' 25-year anniversary arrived, addressed to me. My heart raced. Would they finally see me as family? "I can't miss this occasion," I told my mother, picturing Ava and Mason excited to dress up and present their gifts to Grandma and Grandpa. But after a beat of silence, she said, "Oh, sweetheart, This is an adults-only event. The hotel is upscale and the party goes late. Disappointment swept over me, but I stayed calm. Of course I understand. I'll arrange a babysitter. I resolved that no matter how stressful, I wouldn't lose hope of reconnecting with my family. Over the next 3 weeks, preparations were a whirlwind. Despite a tight budget, I splurged on a navy cocktail dress that made me feel confident. I even crafted a bespoke photo album, gathering snapshots from Seattle to Santa Cruz with heartfelt captions marking each milestone of my parents' life together. Surely a gift that would touch their hearts. Finding childcare proved nearly impossible. My regular sitter canceled at the last minute, and the backup had just taken a weekend job. As the date neared, I grew anxious. Every morning, Ava and Mason would ask, "Mom, can we go?" I'd smooth Ava's hair and force a reassuring smile. 2 days before the party, at 7 o'clock in the morning, my phone buzzed. The babysitter was sick with the flu and couldn't make it. My heart stopped. I called friends, scoured Emerald City sitters, even asked the landlord's teenage daughter. No luck. By midday it was clear I had 2 choices: skip my parents' 25-year celebration, or bring Ava and Mason along. With a heavy heart, I called my mother. "I'm so sorry the sitter canceled," she sighed. "Morgan, Jennifer planned so much to make this perfect. I know it's not ideal." I interrupted gently. "Don't worry. I'll teach the kids proper etiquette. They'll behave and won't stay late." After a pause, she finally relented. "All right, do as you wish." That afternoon, I dressed Ava in a purple dress and light cardigan, and Mason in khakis, a button-down shirt and a clip-on tie. I reviewed manners. No running, say please and thank you, dessert only if they behave. When Ava asked, "Why do we have to be so good tonight, Mom?" I whispered, "Tonight is Grandpa and Grandma's special day. 25 years together isn't something every family achieves." At 5:30, we left our Bellevue apartment in our aging Honda Civic, heading toward downtown Los Angeles. In the back seat, Ava clutched her handmade card of Grandma and Grandpa holding hands, and Mason's gift box sparkled with perhaps too much glitter. A testament to his love. I watched them, pride and nerves mixing in my chest. Would tonight earn us a place in their hearts? Would my memory album help bridge the years of distance? We rolled up to the circular drive of the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City at exactly 5:55, and I felt a flicker of frustration. Here I was, paying my parents' mortgage, yet explaining why I had to bring my children to their own party. A valet approached, and I hesitated, recalling my budget constraints. "I'll park myself, thanks," I said, pointing to our Civic. He glanced at its faded paint, and I knew the judgment was written on his face. Finding a spot in the far corner, I helped Ava and Mason out and straightened their outfits one last time. "Remember your manners. No running." I bent down to them. Ava rolled her eyes but nodded. Mason's earnest, "We'll make you proud, Mommy," nearly broke my heart. We walked toward the grand glass doors, the weight of the gift bag and my mother's reluctant permission echoing in my mind. Stepping into the foyer, the grandeur enveloped us. Round tables draped in white linen with floral centerpieces, crystal chandeliers glowing overhead, and a string quartet softly playing in the corner. Near the entrance, a photo display chronicled my parents' years together. From Seattle, I spotted my mother in a shimmering silver dress that complemented her salt and pepper hair, and my father in a charcoal gray suit, greeting guests with practiced smiles. Ava tugged my hand. "Can we say hello to Grandma and Grandpa?" I smiled. "Of course." But as my mother saw us, her smile faltered and her voice wavered. "Morgan, you're here?" My father blinked, then quickly recovered. "Happy anniversary, sweetheart." I leaned in to kiss her cheek and handed over the gift bag and album. "This is from all of us." Before I could say more, Brooke appeared with her husband Michael and their 2 children, Madison and Tyler. Brooke's emerald green gown outshone mine, and her tone dripped with superiority. "I thought this was adults only. We already arranged childcare." My heart pounded, but I stayed composed. "Our sitter canceled. I brought the kids along. They've been taught proper etiquette and won't stay late." The room fell silent, and I realized this party wasn't just a celebration. It was proof of the barriers my family had built over the years. They reluctantly let us sit, but Brooke warned, "There will be speeches and a champagne toast. Children aren't appropriate." Ava pressed closer to me, and I whispered, "We won't stay the whole night." In that moment, I knew our place had finally been claimed, not just as guests but as family members who deserve respect and love, no matter what. We were seated at a table tucked in the far corner, well away from the dance floor and the head table. Around us sat distant relatives and a few of Dad's former colleagues, all offering polite smiles while their conversation drifted to country club memberships and real estate investment funds, topics I couldn't possibly join. My chest tightened. Ava and Mason sat quietly by my side, occasionally whispering questions. I pulled a coloring book and a box of crayons from my tote and handed them over, then braced myself for Aunt Evelyn's frosty stare from across the room. As the cocktail hour carried on, my parents circulated among guests, seemingly forgetting like the evening's hostess. When dinner was served, an adults-only 3-course menu of creamy risotto and delicately seared salmon, there was not a single child-friendly option. Mason poked at his fish with a frown. "I'll get you pizza tomorrow," I whispered. Then, in his embarrassment, he knocked over his water glass, sending a puddle across the pristine white tablecloth. His face flushed as tears welled up. Before I could reach for a napkin, my mother appeared at our side, expression cold. "Morgan, this is exactly why we didn't want children here." I felt Ava's gaze fill with tears. "I'm sorry," she began. I pulled her into my lap, dabbing at the spill. "It's okay, sweetheart, accidents happen." But my reassurance rang hollow in my own ears. Susan stepped closer, voice calm. "Honestly, they're too young for a formal affair. Maybe it's best if I take them home." I froze under the scrutiny of every nearby guest. "Excuse me? I am your daughter and they are your grandchildren," I said firmly. "We haven't even had dessert." My father guided my mother by the elbow, glancing at Mason's tearful eyes. "We shouldn't keep the children up. They're tired. Let's go." In that moment, the pain of exclusion hit its peak. I squeezed my children's hands, resolute. "Okay, kids, let's go home. We'll have dessert there, and you can tell Grandma and Grandpa all about it." Ava and Mason's faces lit up, relief and excitement replacing their fear. We stood and walked out, heads held high, through the stately ballroom and into the quiet Los Angeles night, our pride mingling with sorrow. As we gathered our coats in the lobby, Susan leaned in and whispered, "Morgan, I think it's best I take the kids home first." I felt a surge of anger. I squeezed Ava and Mason's hands and looked my mother in the eye. My mother's daughter and her grandchildren are not burdens. We will stay until dessert is served, then we'll leave. Her shoulders slumped, and Jason echoed Brooke's sentiment. "Yes, perhaps it's best if we go." Ava murmured, "Mom, why don't they want us here?" Mason was silent, confusion in his big brown eyes. I wrapped an arm around him. "It's okay, buddy. I'm here." I realized then that I wasn't just protecting my children, I was protecting my own dignity. We passed under crystal chandeliers as the other guests stepped aside, some watching with pity, others whispering behind hands. My heart ached with each judging glance. Outside in the hotel's rear parking lot, Jason caught up to me as I fumbled with the Civic's keys. "Morgan, please don't make this personal," he panted. I straightened, fire in my eyes. "You turned me and your grandchildren away over a little water spill. Is that not personal?" Jason hesitated, forehead creased. "You know I didn't mean it, but your mother worried about gossip." I cut him off. "You taught me to honor family. Now you're embarrassed by me? What's more important, the public image or genuine love?" I lifted Ava and Mason into their seats. Before climbing in behind the wheel, I looked back at him once more. I've done everything to keep this family together. For 3 years I paid your mortgage without complaint. I've endured every comparison and criticism. But tonight, I put myself first. With that, I started the engine. In the rearview mirror, I saw my parents standing in the lobby, watching us drive away. "Mommy, why are you crying?" Mason called from the back seat, sleepiness in his voice. I hadn't noticed my tears. Wiping them away, I forced a smile. "Sometimes grown-ups feel sad, but everything will be okay, sweetie." Back at our Bellevue apartment, its small rooms felt emptier than ever. I went through our bedtime routine, pajamas, teeth, stories, while my mind replayed every moment. Mason fell asleep first, exhausted by the tension. Ava lay awake, her 8-year-old heart absorbing more than I ever wanted her to. "Mommy," she whispered as I tucked her in, "are Grandma and Grandpa mad at us?" Her question pierced me. Sitting at the edge of her bed, I chose my words carefully. "They're not mad at you or your brother. You behaved so well." "Then why did they want us to leave?" Her blue eyes searched mine. I sighed. "Sometimes adults have complicated feelings that aren't about you. They might have been stressed about the party." Ava nodded thoughtfully, though I sensed she didn't fully believe me. I hugged her tight. "But remember, you are always loved, no matter what." Her nod was small and uncertain, and so we drifted into sleep. But I lay awake, knowing the night's wounds would not heal quickly. Yet I also knew something essential. To be respected, sometimes you must stand up, even if it means walking away first. I couldn't sleep. All night I replayed every moment. Brooke's contemptuous glance, Mom's whisper in the foyer, Dad's cold voice in the parking lot. My heart pounded so hard I couldn't tell if I was crying or sweating. At 3 a.m., my phone lit up with missed calls from Aunt Eleanor and a text from Cousin Clara. "That was awful. Why didn't you call us right away?" I managed a bitter smile. At least someone understood. Finally, a message from Mom. "You're always too sensitive. Calm down and we'll talk tomorrow." I fell silent, knowing that things were far from okay. In that lonely hour, I realized that to earn respect I sometimes must refuse injustice, walking away to protect my dignity and give myself a chance to rebuild that relationship on a foundation of true respect. I didn't reply to Mom's "you're too sensitive" text. Those judgments would only deepen the wound. Instead, I made a cup of herbal tea and sat by the window, watching Bellevue's streetlights flicker, as I wondered how my relationship with my parents had broken so badly. Morning arrived with the familiar rush of single motherhood. Breakfast, then off to school with Ava and Owen. Owen chattered excitedly about a new video game. Ava was quiet, her eyes still heavy with the night's hurt. I forced a smile at the bus stop, secretly wiping away a lingering tear. Mom sent another text. "I hope you've calmed down." They still framed the evening as my fault, no apology for humiliating my kids. That injustice steeled my resolve. I would maintain my distance until they offered a sincere apology. Monday morning at the office, I sat before my computer, trying to focus on clients' portfolios, but my mind kept drifting back to that party. My colleague Maya tapped my shoulder. "Morgan, you okay? You look tired today." I burst into tears and poured out everything: the mortgage I'd been covering for my parents, the anniversary party, my relatives' disdain. Maya listened quietly, then squeezed my hand. "No one deserves that. You have to protect your children." Her words were like a lifeline, reminding me I wasn't alone and should not accept injustice. I deleted Mom's text and decided I would only speak with my parents when they truly understood the pain they'd caused. That afternoon, I picked up the kids and found Ava holding a torn-up drawing she'd made for Grandma and Grandpa. "I messed up," she whispered, avoiding my eyes. "I need to start over." My heart shattered. Even my daughter felt rejected. I hugged her tight. "You didn't do anything wrong. They're the ones who missed the point." That moment felt like the start of something new. That evening, I mapped out a plan. I would email my parents to request a meeting, schedule family counseling, and book a short getaway just for Ava and Owen to begin healing their hurt. Only by valuing myself could I rebuild a relationship based on mutual respect. When bedtime came, I texted Ava, "Mommy is so proud of you." Her smile, the first since the party, lit up the room. I knew the road ahead would be long, but tonight I had found my spark again, a strength bright enough to guide our family forward. However, last weekend's events crossed the line of basic respect. I need to be treated fairly and have transparent financial arrangements, so, beginning next month, I will stop my mortgage payments for you. I hope you understand that this is not an act of ingratitude, but a boundary I must set to protect myself and my children. I look forward to having a serious discussion about this and finding a way for our family to move forward on a foundation of mutual respect. Love, Morgan. Hitting send, my heart raced. For the first time, my self-respect guided my decision, rather than unconditional love or duty. The path to healing will be difficult, but tonight I know I've taken the first step. I've claimed my right to respect and learned to protect my dignity and my children's. That night, after Ava and Owen were asleep, I sat at my keyboard, determined yet heavy-hearted. The words on the screen felt like an inescapable turning point. Dear Mom and Dad, after your 25-year anniversary celebration, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on how my children and I were treated. Publicly embarrassing the kids over a few drops of water crossed the boundary of basic respect. For 3 years, I faithfully transferred $1,800 each month to keep our home, and I have never regretted helping. However, in light of recent events, I can no longer support a family that disregards my children's feelings and my sense of self-worth. Therefore, effective immediately, I am discontinuing my mortgage payments. If you truly wish to renew financial support in the future, I require 1. A sincere apology to Ava and Owen for the hurt they endured. 2. Acknowledgement of the double standard between Natalie's children and mine. 3. Participation in at least 6 family counseling sessions to address favoritism. 4. A commitment to treat all grandchildren equally, regardless of circumstance. I love our family and value this relationship, but I cannot sacrifice my children's well-being or my own dignity. I hope you understand and will respond when you're ready for a constructive conversation. Morgan. Sending that email marked the end of a painful chapter and the start of a new one. I immediately logged into my bank app and canceled the recurring transfer to Evergreen Trust Mortgage. To avoid guilt trips and restless nights, I temporarily blocked my parents' and Natalie's numbers. Only my Aunt Eleanor received a quick text. "I need a few days. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Thanks for listening." The next morning, dropping Ava and Owen at school, I reassured them. "We'll take a break from visiting Grandma and Grandpa for a while, okay?" Owen's lower lip trembled. "Will we go back someday, Mom?" I squeezed his hand. "Of course. Right now we just need time for us and to make new memories." Owen brightened. "Can we start a new tradition?" I smiled. "Absolutely. Maybe baking cookies on weekends or exploring the science center." That afternoon at work, I saw a reply from Mom. "Morgan, I can't believe you'd make such a childish decision. After everything we've done for you, you're punishing us. Think carefully before you ruin this." The cold message felt like a knife, but there was still no apology for hurting my children. I closed my eyes and breathed deeply. Setting boundaries didn't make me guilty, it clarified my purpose. I was done trading unconditional sacrifice. Family may not change overnight, but I had chosen to protect my children, and that was worth more than any mortgage payment. That Sunday midday passed in silence. No apology, only criticism labeling me too sensitive and threats to dip into emergency funds. By late afternoon, I felt a new peace. I had held my ground and no longer needed to pretend. That night, as Ava and Owen slept under their fortress of blankets, I called Aunt Eleanor my one steadfast ally. "You are right," she said. "Sometimes family needs a wake-up call." Her words bolstered my resolve. I knew I wasn't alone. Monday morning, I arrived at the office with renewed energy for a new project. At lunchtime, I redirected the monthly mortgage money into a savings account labeled Future Home, the first step toward financial independence for my real family, Ava, Owen, and me. 17 days after my email, on the following Sunday afternoon, the doorbell rang. Ava and Owen peeked through the fort, recognizing the voices in the hallway. Through the peephole, I saw my parents standing there. Dad's shoulders slightly stooped, Mom clutching her purse so tightly her knuckles were white. I steadied myself. Today, justice and respect break the cycle of unbalanced family ties, and I will no longer settle for less than my children and I deserve. I took a deep breath, wondering if I should pretend we weren't home, but that would only delay the inevitable. Ava, Owen, I called in a firm voice. Why don't you go play in your room? Mommy needs to talk to Grandma and Grandpa first. Ava nodded, confused, and Owen asked, Are they here to celebrate with us? I forced a smile. I sure hope so. Once the bedroom door closed behind them, I turned back and offered my guests a brittle smile. Please, come in. They stepped into our small apartment, eyes flicking over the toy-strewn rug and child-sized blankets. Are you all right? Grandma Sue asked, trying to fill the silent awkwardness with concern. I kept my tone even. What did you want to say? Dad, Robert drew in a shaky breath. We're here to apologize, Morgan. We treated you and the kids unfairly. My eyes stung. That long-overdue admission felt like a turning point, proof that the boundary I'd set was finally respected. I nodded, letting them know their apology was for all three of us, so our wounds might begin to heal. Their unexpected arrival behind our front door wasn't just the start of an honest conversation. It was a glimmer of hope for a new kind of family relationship, built not on blood alone, but on genuine respect and love. Robert squared his shoulders in our cramped living room. You've stopped making mortgage payments, he said, voice tight, and we just received notice from the bank. If we don't pay by Friday, they'll foreclose. I met his gaze, calm but firm. I explained my reasons in my email. I cannot continue to support a home that doesn't respect me or my children. Susan shot back in pained tones. We're your parents, not business partners. You have no right to set conditions. I held her stare. I'm not setting conditions. I'm setting boundaries to protect Ava and Owen. Robert bristled, stepping back. We spent our whole lives raising you, sending you to college, helping with the kids, and now you punish us over one dinner? It wasn't just that dinner, I replied gently. It was years of comparison and neglect. The anniversary party was the last straw. Susan dabbed at her eyes, lamenting, Morgan, you've always been sensitive. Her words bounced right off me. I clenched my shirt sleeve. Actions matter more than words, especially in a child's eyes. Suddenly, the bedroom door opened and Ava stepped out, her face brave and anxious. Why did you yell at Mommy? She asked, voice small but steady. My parents froze, surprised by her honest question. Ava, go back to your room, I murmured, wanting to protect her, but she stood her ground. Mommy deserves respect. Her words rang through the silence, meeting my parents' conscience for the first time. After she retreated, I turned back to them. You need to leave, I said evenly. Dad tried to object. We still have to sort out the mortgage. I stood my ground. Until you apologize and commit to change, I will not resume payments. Susan's eyes widened. Robert frowned. We raised you. Now you punish us? I'm protecting my children and myself, I said. I will not continue supporting a family that doesn't value us. I offered one last quiet farewell. Goodbye, Grandma and Grandpa. Then I gathered Ava and Owen, my priorities, and walked out, each step a declaration of our right to respect. Behind me, Susan's final words hung in the doorway. After all we did for you, you'll let the bank take our home? I shrugged. You could downsize to fit your budget. Dad could take a part-time job, or You could ask Natalie for help. Her husband is a dentist after all." Robert's voice trembled with anger and hurt. "We'd never burden Natalie, but burdening a single mom is fine." My heart stopped at the clear double standard. Susan clutched her purse white-knuckled. "I don't recognize you anymore, Morgan." I stepped forward, looking her in the eye. "The daughter you raised has learned her worth. This isn't cruelty, it's healthy boundaries." Robert's final threat echoed in the hallway. "If you don't resume payments, don't expect to be welcome in our home." I opened the door to leave. "I've thought carefully. My children and I deserve unconditional love, not perfection." Just as I stepped into the night, Ava and Owen tumbled down the stairs, worried faces peering out. "Mommy, are Grandma and Grandpa really leaving?" I knelt between them, arms wrapped around my two brave souls. "Yes, sweethearts, we'll create our own happiness." I looked into their trusting eyes and said words I hoped they'd carry forever. "You are perfect just the way you are. You deserve love and respect. Always." I took a deep breath, weighing whether to pretend we weren't home, but that would only delay the inevitable. "Ava, Owen," I called in a firm voice, "go play in your room for a bit. Mommy needs to talk to Grandma and Grandpa." Ava nodded, puzzled, and Owen tugged my sleeve. "Are they here to celebrate us?" I managed a wry smile. "I sure hope so." Once the door clicked shut, I turned to greet them with a polite smile, one edged with bitterness. "Please, come in." They stepped into our cozy living room, glancing at the blankets and toys scattered on the floor. "Are you all right, Grandma?" Susan asked, her voice carrying a mix of concern and regret. I kept my tone steady. "What did you want to say?" "Grandpa..." Robert took a deep breath, voice trembling. "We came to apologize, Morgan. We treated you and the children unfairly." My eyes stung. That long-overdue admission was the turning point I'd been waiting for, proof that the boundary I'd set mattered. I nodded slowly, letting them know their apology was for all three of us so our wound might begin to heal. Their unexpected arrival in my small apartment wasn't only the start of an honest conversation, it was hope that our family could rebuild on true respect and love, not just blood ties. Robert straightened in the cramped space. "You've stopped making the mortgage payments," he said quietly. "We got notice. If we don't pay by Friday, they'll foreclose." I met his gaze, calm but unwavering. I explained my reasons in my email. "I can't keep supporting a home that doesn't respect me or my children." Susan's voice rose, edged with pain. "We're your parents, not business partners. You can't demand conditions." I held her eyes. "I'm not demanding conditions. I'm setting boundaries to protect Ava and Owen." Robert stepped back, frustration flashing in his eyes. "We raised you, sent you to college, helped care for the kids, and now you punish us over one dinner?" "It wasn't just that dinner," I replied softly. "It was years of comparisons and neglect. The anniversary party was the final straw." Susan dabbed at her eyes. "Morgan, you've always been so sensitive." Her words slid off me. I gripped my shirt. Actions speak louder than words, especially in the eyes of a child. Suddenly the bedroom door opened, and Ava stepped into the doorway, face brave but confused. "Why did you yell at Mommy?" she asked, voice small but clear. My parents froze, struck by her honesty. "Ava, go back to your room," I said gently, wanting to shield her, but she stood firm. "Mommy deserves respect." Her words hung in the air, meeting my parents' conscience for the first time. After she retreated, I turned back to them. "You need to leave," I said quietly but firmly. Robert tried to protest. "We still have to sort out the mortgage." "If you can't apologize and commit to change," I said, "I will not resume payments." Susan's eyes widened, Robert's brow furrowed. "We raised you, now you punish us?" "I'm protecting my children and myself," I said. "I won't support a family that doesn't value us." I offered one last gentle farewell. "Goodbye, Grandma and Grandpa." Then I scooped Ava and Owen into my arms, my true priorities, and walked out, each step declaring our right to respect. Behind me, Susan's final words drifted through the doorway. After everything we've done for you, you'll let the bank take our home? I shrugged. You could downsize to what you can afford. Dad could take a part-time job, or you could ask Natalie for help. Her husband's a dentist. Robert's voice trembled with hurt and anger. We'd never burden Natalie, but burdening a single mom is fine? My chest tightened at the stark double standard. Susan grasped her purse, knuckles white. I don't recognize you anymore, Morgan. I stepped closer, looking her in the eye. The daughter you raised has learned her worth. This isn't cruelty, it's healthy boundaries. Robert's last threat echoed. If you don't resume payments, don't expect to be welcome in our home. I opened the door to leave. I've thought this through. My children and I deserve unconditional love, not perfection. As I stepped into the night, Ava and Owen rushed down the hall, anxiously peeking around my legs. Mommy, are Grandma and Grandpa really going? I knelt between them, wrapping them in my arms. Yes, sweethearts, we'll make our own happy memories. Looking into their trusting eyes, I whispered the truth I wanted them to remember always. You are perfect as you are. You deserve love and respect every single day. Our first meeting with the kids took place at the Seattle Botanical Garden, a neutral, peaceful setting. Ava and Owen approached hesitantly, and Mom handed them each a small gift bag, a mini geology kit for Ava and a build-your-own dinosaur model for Owen. I was surprised by their thoughtfulness, a clear sign they were truly listening. Then Mom asked, "May I hug Ava?" She nodded and ran into Grandma's arms. I saw Dad bend down to hug Owen, tears in his eyes but warmth in his embrace. Those small, quiet steps, no fanfare, no grand gestures, were proof of the deepest change. I've learned that healing requires courage from both sides and a willingness to change. Boundaries aren't walls, they're milestones guiding us toward genuine love and respect. On the drive home under a crisp Seattle sky, I held the kids' hands tightly, knowing our journey to recovery is far from over. But tonight I believe we've laid the foundation for a stronger family, one built on fairness, respect, and unconditional love. Ava looked up at me, eyes wide and happy. You talked about that in counseling, right, Mom? I nodded, my heart warmed that she remembered every detail. That Christmas wasn't held on Christmas Eve at my parents' Los Angeles home. Instead, we agreed on a cozy Christmas lunch at a downtown Seattle bistro, followed by ice skating at Gasworks Park. Brooke and her family were invited but politely declined. With no pressure to keep up with a picture-perfect family, we got to spend real quality time with Ava and Owen. At the table, my parents relaxed and actually talked with the kids. They listened as Owen explained dinosaur classifications and asked Ava thoughtful questions about her rock collection. When Owen spilled hot chocolate on his new sweater, Grandma immediately helped clean it, no criticism at all. That kindness brought tears to my eyes. My relationship with Brooke is still tense, but warming. In January, she invited me for coffee alone. I still think you were too strict with the financial agreement, she admitted, but I've seen things in counseling I never noticed before. What did you notice? I asked, cautiously hopeful. She looked up, honest at last. Mom and Dad always compared you and me, holding you to different standards. I benefited from it, so I never questioned it. It wasn't a full apology, but it was an acknowledgement I never expected. Then she added shyly, Madison really wants to invite Ava over for a sleepover. If you're okay, I can arrange it. The cousins' relationship, once confined to formal gatherings, began to blossom naturally. Ava and Madison bonded over science and art, and Owen and Tyler over superhero movies. Watching them play without any judgment gave me new hope for a true family connection. Meanwhile, work was going better than I dared hope. I was officially named lead advisor on the Richardson account, along with a promotion and a significant raise, just what I needed to build a down payment fund for a new home. By February, I had saved enough for a down payment on a 3-bedroom townhouse in Bellevue. Not extravagant, but perfect for giving Ava and Owen their own rooms and a small backyard. Moving day was pure joy. Ava and Owen ran from room to room, shouting, "Is this really ours forever?" "It sure is," I answered, watching Owen set up his dinosaur figures on the windowsill. Ava approached more cautiously. "Mom, can I paint my room purple?" "You can paint it any color you like," I promised, savoring the freedom of home ownership after years of renting. That evening, as I put away the last box in the kitchen, my phone rang. It was Susan. "We just drove by your new place," she said, voice hesitant. "It looks lovely, Morgan. You did so well." For the first time, a compliment came without comparison or condition, and I was stunned. "Thank you, Mom. The kids are thrilled." I heard her pause, then ask, "Would it be all right if we brought dinner by this weekend?" "Of course," I replied, my heart full of hope. Dinner that night simmered on the stove, just home cooking, but it smelled like healing. Across the table, my parents sat talking and laughing with the kids, never once criticizing. When Owen accidentally knocked over his water glass, Dad calmly helped clean it up, and Mom just smiled. "Accidents happen, buddy." I sat back watching my family. This wasn't the competitive family of old, but a group learning to listen and respect one another. Our imperfect but growing new normal. Spring arrived, and we moved into our 3-bedroom home in Bellevue. Ava painted her walls purple, all by herself, and Owen affixed a name plaque to his door. When I asked, "How does it feel?" Ava beamed. "Like we're finally free, Mom." That first night in our new home, I stepped into the backyard under a sky full of Seattle stars. I thought back to the stormy days, from covering my parents' mortgage to that tear-soaked Christmas party, and realized how far we'd come to find peace here. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "We stopped by today. Your home looks wonderful. We'd love to bring dinner by this weekend." A compliment without any backhanded comparison, and I thought, this is what genuine love feels like. That weekend, we all gathered around the wooden dining table. Chloe showed off her growing rock collection, and Owen proudly recounted finishing his first dinosaur model. I felt warmth spread through me. Home is not a stage for competition, but a place for love and understanding. This journey taught us that love doesn't demand perfection. Setting boundaries is the most basic act of self-care and care for others. Now, as spring blooms around Bellevue, I know this new ground beneath us will nurture a truer, more enduring family bond than ever before.